Generally, the way it works is if an NBA star says, I want out, you move him. The faster you can move a star in any sport, the more you get in return. Years and years ago, long before 99% of you started following sports, in the early 70s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, at the time Lou Alcindor, told Milwaukee, I want out. But it wasn't public. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have all the NBA sites. And because of that, they worked to get a haul, the greatest haul a team's ever gotten back for a star player. So the reality is, when somebody wants out, your best move is quick, because you'll lose leverage over time. Everybody in the league knows, oh, this guy wants out, we don't have to give you much. So when Aaron Rodgers was unhappy, I thought there was an argument to be made if Jordan Love can play, and you drafted him in the first round, he should be able to play, unless you screwed up your scouting, and, you know, that would be a Packer issue. Jordan Love should be able to play by this time a year later, right? By this time in Lamar Jackson's career, it was MVP talk, right? So, interesting. This morning, the Packers looked like they're going to trade back to get Randall Cobb. They're going to go get Randall Cobb. I had a general manager and a scout text me this morning. This is why Aaron Rodgers is not a personnel guy. He's a quarterback. Randall Cobb is expensive, old, shot, injured, can't stay healthy. And you drafted a slot receiver named Amari Rodgers out of Clemson, who is a slot and will be very good. Hopefully Aaron can suck it up and work with a rookie and build a relationship, even though it's his last year. But this is a classic example. Now this relationship with Aaron in Green Bay is officially weird. This is a really bad personnel move. He's $10.4 million. That is a ton for a slot receiver who was a one-time Pro Bowler 7 years ago and since then can't stay healthy. 14 games missed last 3 years, hamstring issues, toe issues. Nice player at one point, but can't play anymore. I mean, like, it's not going to be a $10 million player. And this is a classic example. If your wife comes up to you and says, I want a divorce, you can say, let's make it work for a year to a year and a half. You're going to have resentment issues, you're going to have trust issues, and you're going to start doing things to appease her that are inauthentic. It's not a real relationship. You're going to act completely differently than you normally would in a really healthy, authentic relationship. What Green Bay is doing now, they're in the makeup stage. So they're making a really bad move, according to what I'm reading this morning, to appease Aaron Rodgers, who's got 1 year left, may not care about building some great relationship with a rookie slot receiver named Amari Rodgers from Clemson, who actually can play, who can really play. He'll be in fact, his comp was Randall Cobb. That's who people thought he was out of Clemson. He's Randall Cobb. So this is officially the weird stage. That Aaron Rodgers, because Green Bay feels, we kind of butchered that whole thing and we got to make up, bad move. Now, some of you could say, well, Brady went out and got Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is essentially free. They pay him nothing. And he can still beat people down the field. Antonio Brown can play. He's got his issues. Dude can play and he's free. What about Gronk? Still an elite blocking tight end. I mean, last 2 years that Gronk has played, he's made huge plays in big games. Super Bowls, AFC Championship, NFC Championship. Gronk can still play, not as often, and not with the volume he once did, but Gronk can still play. Antonio Brown can still play. It's a discount for both. Randall Cobb can't, and he's expensive. It's a kind of a prime example of the relationship is in a weird space, and Green Bay now is sacrificing cap and quality to appease the guy that wants out. Aaron wanted out. That's why there's an argument to be made. Guy wants out. Let him go. Move fast. So every year it comes out once. I think it is the definitive ranking of NFL quarterbacks. And I try to stay away. I used to do it more from ranking all these quarterbacks. So Mike Sando This is a real list. 11 coordinators, 15 executives, a dozen GMs, head coaches. This is a grown-up list. This is not Twitter opinion. These are people with jobs. And like people that do this for a living get paid a lot of money to grade quarterbacks. Their entire careers are getting the quarterback right. And Mike Sando, who will be on in about an hour and a half, he does a great job on this. It's the one list every year. I have very few arguments with it every year. It's the most accurate by far list. And the quarterbacks are ranked in 4 tiers. And so this is how Mike Sando, when he goes to the GMs and the executives, here's how he states it. Tier 1, you carry your team every week. That's how good of a quarterback you are. Tier 2, you carry your team, but not as consistently. Tier 3, you're a franchise quarterback, but you need a lot of help. It just screams Kirk Cousins. And Tier 4, there's something there. You may just be a career backup. You're on the clock, definitely. Or you're old. So I look at it differently. If I was a GM, Tier 1 is I don't have to ever worry about the position. Tier 2 is I would take phone calls on my quarterback. Tier 3, I would make phone calls to replace my quarterback. And Tier 4, I got a major problem at quarterback. So here is the now the 2 things I'll tell you about this list. You got to have a Tier 1 or 2 quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That's the first rule with this thing. The second rule is all the fans whose quarterback is in Tier 3 think this thing stinks. So here's the list by real people that have real jobs. Tier 1 is Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. My only disagreement with that, I would have Josh Allen in that group. I think he's a bigger, stronger player than Deshaun Watson, throws a better football, less baggage, and with no running game, got his team to the AFC Championship. Last year, Deshaun Watson's 4-12. So I would put Josh Allen in that group. But he graded as the top quarterback in Tier 2. So they probably missed by a couple of votes. Tier 2 is Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Matt Ryan, Kyler Murray, Ryan Tannehill, Joe Burrow. My only disagreement with that, I would have Derek Carr in that list at the very bottom. Well, what do you know? Tier 3, the first quarterback grading out is Derek Carr. Into Ben, into Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Garoppolo, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Daniel Jones. I don't really have a problem with that. Again, I'd put Derek at the end of Tier 2. He was probably close. I do think Carson Wentz has Tier 2 talent, but you can't put him in Tier 2 off of his year last year. By the way, Baker and Kirk Cousins, that's exactly where they should be. Baker and Kirk Cousins need a lot of help. Neither has a dynamic athletic trait. Neither has a huge arm. Neither is a great athlete. Neither has ideal size. Sorry, that's where Baker is. He's got the best offensive line in football and the best running game. If he didn't, he'd be running around and he'd be in Tier 4. Tier 4, Sam Darnold is the first player listed. Then it's Jameis, Bridgewater, Cam, Dalton, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Drew Lock, Tyrod Taylor, Taysom Hill, Joe Flacco. Again, do I think Darnold moves himself into Tier 3 this year? Yes. Do I think Derek Carr plays his way into Tier 2 potentially this year? Yes. By and large, I don't have any major disagreements with it. I just think, the guys I think are a little better all ended up as the number 1 quarterback in the next tier. I think Josh Allen is a little better than people think. I think Derek Carr and Sam Darnold also little better than people think. But I could be wrong. These guys are pros. This is what they do for a living. It's fun. This is what I believe the most accurate list of quarterback talent every year by Mike Sando, who joins us later. Executives, it can be an anonymous poll. You're not going to be shouted out. You don't have to be held. I know nobody likes anonymous sourcing, but you get your best information. I do from people who don't want to be out there. I got 2 executives this morning ripping the Packers' Randall Cobb move. They're not doing that if you have to put their name on it. And the bottom line is you want information. I want to give it to you. So I love this list. I think it's great. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.